of Labour, Mildred Oliphant, says her department is ready to implement changes to the Amended Unemployment Insurance Act. This is following President Jacob Zuma's signing of the bill into law last week. The Unemployment Insurance Fund provides for the following benefits. It provides for unemployment, illness, maternity, adoption, as well as dependent. The value of the benefit you're claiming depends on how much you were earning when you are contributing to the fund and how long you were a contributor. From our Durban studios, this morning we're joined by the Minister of Labour, Mildred Oliphant, to unpack for us these changes. Minister, it's a very good morning to you. It's good to have you on Morning Live.
Morning, Palisa, and morning to the listeners.
Well, thank you so much for coming through. Just before we get into the nitty-gritty of this new law, Minister, remind us as to what brought about the changes.
The changes was brought about by the profits that we have made, that we call surpluses. And we thought that this is the money for the workers, and therefore we need to increase the benefit for the workers and also include some of those workers that were excluded previously. For example, if you look at the public servants, they were excluded from the contribution to the Unemployment Insurance Act, including the contract workers as well were excluded. And therefore we thought that it would be wise to include everybody that is classified or defined in terms of the Public Service Act, and also when that person is defined under the education sector, particularly those that will be doing practicals after they have concluded their degrees or their whatever. Yeah. Skills that they have concluded. When they are doing practicals previously, they were excluded. But now we have said, look, when they do practicals, they also contribute to the economy of this country, and also they are being paid some amount of monies as allowances, and that will assist when they are still looking for work after doing those practicals. Therefore, they have to benefit from this fund.
Yeah, I wanted to come on to the issue of the learnerships, Minister, as you have touched on it. Are we now recognizing them as the full workforce?
When they are doing practical work, they contribute towards the economy of this country. Okay. And the production also is being increased when they are doing those practical work. And therefore, they form part of the workforce of this country.
All right. Now, we've also learned that there are different categories of beneficiaries that are separated but by what is called benefit transition. Talk to us about what benefit transition entails.
For example, when you look at the maternity benefits previously, it was around 38%, but it used to differ. But as we speak now, we are going to pay a flat rate of 66%, and we want to come up with a situation where we'll be saying we are now fully implementing what is said in terms of the Freedom Charter. But at the same time, we have also extended the claim period, because previously we used to say if you have not submitted your claims within 6 months, and therefore you will no longer be able to submit those claims. So we have extended that to 6 months, to 12 months. And also we have said the workers themselves must now be able to identify their beneficiaries, because previously what was happening, the workers didn't identify their beneficiaries if it happens that some of them passed on. And so those are the benefits that we have said they are going to be attained by the workers. But at the same time, it will allow a situation where the minister can allow a situation where he or she can establish the schemes so that we have to rehabilitate and train the workers so that they can re-enter labor market.
All right. And what happens, Minister, if a person dies? Will it still be stopped, or the law provides a new dispensation in this regard?
The law provides for the beneficiaries of that person who has deceased to come and claim. And also we have said Rather than to say after 12 months we will close that, we have allowed that the beneficiaries can submit their claims within 18 months, because we have to allow a situation where the families can take their time for mourning based on our traditional culture, because when somebody has passed on, you must allow a space for that person to mourn for a certain period of time. And in certain instances, you'll find that if, let's say, for example, if that person was married, and therefore, if you are married, you can't just move in and out immediately after 3 months or 6 months. So that's why we have extended that period. And therefore, we want to appeal to everybody that they have to register their beneficiaries so that we can be able to facilitate those claims immediately.
All right. But there are also instances, Minister, where people can actually lose out on these benefits. Talk to us about those circumstances.
For example, if a person resigns, at the present moment, the law does not allow a person who has just resigned to claim. But we have agreed at NEDLEC with the constituencies that let us implement this policy, and then after 18 months, if the fund can afford, then we can consider including those who also resigns. But we will be able to discuss that through the NEDLEC constituencies, and therefore that's when we can say now those people can enter into the same benefits. But at the same time, if therefore it takes you more than 12 months or 18 months not submitting the claims, we will be establishing the committees at the regional level, so that if those committees agree when they review the reasons why you didn't submit on time, and therefore they can be able to say whether we can continue with those claims or not. But if then it goes beyond, let's say for example, if a person has not claimed beyond 18 months or 12 months, then that person usually forfeits the benefits. But also the challenge that we are faced with is that some of the companies and the workers are not monitoring whether those companies are complying with the contribution to the unemployment insurance. You'll find that the workers are contributing, but the workers can only get what they have contributed, because if the companies were not contributing, then that other portion won't be able to be taken into account. That's why I'm appealing that all the employers must register their workers on social protection, which is both unemployment insurance and compensation.
All right, Minister, due to time constraints, that's where we're going to leave it for this morning, but thank you so much for coming through. Minister of the Department of Labour, Mildred Oliphant, talking to us about the new law that came into being last week after it was signed by President Jacob Zuma. Well, it's exactly 7 o'clock. Leanne has your news.